If you're interested in becoming that girl, this routine is a non-negotiable. So I said this routine, I'm actually talking about two routines, but we'll dive into one today. The other one we'll talk about next week. So I am, of course, talking about a night routine and a morning routine. Now, anybody who is successful, who is doing well in life, has these two routines down. These are non-negotiables, and successful people recognize that. They realize that everybody needs a good morning routine in order to set themselves up for success, to have a great day, and in turn, you need a good night routine to wind down and to let go of the day that you've had so that you can set yourself up again for the day ahead. So I'm really excited to dive into these two. I want to talk about night routine first because, as we all know, a good morning routine always starts the night before. So let's dive into the night routine. I like to split my night routine into two separate categories. So there are things that you can do to prepare yourself for the next day, and then there are things that you can do to also wind down from the day that you've had. I like to do it in that order because personally, I am not able to fully relax and let go of the day unless in the back of my mind, I know that I am set up for tomorrow and I don't need to worry about that. You might be different. Of course, tailor this to what suits you. This is very personal, but I'll talk about it in that order just because that's how my brain works. Okay, so what are some things that we can do the night before to set ourselves up for the day ahead? So some things that I like to do are, for instance, just planning out my schedule for tomorrow. I like to plan out my 3 most important tasks, things that I need to accomplish that day, just so that when I wake up the next day, I'm not having to waste time thinking about what I need to do. I know exactly what's required, I know where I need to be, what time, I have a plan, and that way I feel like I'm ahead of the day. Something else that you can do is make sure that your outfit is ready. So I was stuck in a cycle for a long time of not doing this, and it really impacted my day. I would wake up and then either throw anything on just to leave the house on time, and then I would feel rubbish for the rest of the day because maybe I didn't actually look how I wanted to. I hadn't really considered my outfit and I wasn't entirely comfortable with it, which in turn just didn't make me feel good about myself, right? Or if I didn't do that, I would spend way too long making sure I was happy with what I was wearing, how I looked, but then I would be late and then I would be chasing the day, I would be flustered, all of these things. So in any case, it's just not a good idea. And so I've started this new habit of prepping all of my outfits at least the night before, but sometimes I do it even a week in advance, and it just takes that pressure away in the morning and I can just get to what I need to without delay. So maybe this is something that you can do as well. If, for instance, part of your morning routine is to go to the gym, maybe pick out your workout clothes the night before so that you can just hit the ground running in the morning. It really depends on how you like to start your day. These are all great things if you're somebody who likes to just get going straight away. If you want to get your workout in, make sure you tick off your first difficult task for the day, you want to dive straight into things, all of these things are very useful for that. If you prefer more of a slower morning, maybe these are not so important. There are other things that you can do, but we'll talk about that when we talk about the morning routine. So if you're quite a visual person, and particularly if you are into manifestation and you really want to be the creator of your life and you really want to set the tone and not just be sort of reactive to what happens, but you want to really dictate how things go, another thing you can do the night before is literally visualize your ideal day for the following day. So by this point, you should know roughly what you'll be doing and you can kind of put yourself into that day. So see yourself walking through the day and imagine that being a good day. Think about everything that you need to do, think about how you could show up as your best self, and just set that intention. See yourself doing that. And if you do this just before you go to sleep, this is powerful because your subconscious mind will retain that whilst you're asleep. And what you'll find is that you're more likely to live out that day based on the intention that you set. Okay, so that's all things that we can do in the evening to set ourselves up for the next day. Now, let's say you genuinely just want to wind down. You want to forget about the day that you've had, just really start to slow down. So one thing that I do personally is I will have a second shower in the evening. So particularly if I have gone into work, I like to just make that the first thing that I do when I come home. And it's almost like a ritual at this point where I just wash away everything from the day. It really helps me to disconnect, stop thinking about work, and just get back into my feminine energy. You know, a lot of us who are part of the workforce are really in our masculine energy during the day. We're required to have all of these more masculine traits to be productive. So it's really good to make a point of switching back to your feminine energy once you're home, once you're no longer required to be like that. And so that's something I do, and I particularly like to play a meditation, play some piano music, light a candle, or maybe some jazz music, and really just slow down, you know, take my makeup off and really just like wash away the day. That really sets the tone for my evening. I can start to relax, I can start to wind down. Sometimes I will even use some essential oils. So you can really romanticize this moment and make it a ritual for yourself that you can do every evening so that your brain understands, okay, it's now time to transition and to switch off. So maybe what I've just described is not really your thing or isn't really feasible. So something else that you could do is maybe you have a routine where you stretch in the evening. That's a great way to release tension, release stress, particularly if you haven't had much movement throughout the day. If you are somebody who spends a lot of time at your desk, for instance, this is a great way to really just loosen up the body and again, get back into your feminine. I know somatic workouts are very popular at the moment. They're really good, like I say, for releasing stress and tension, particularly around the hips and even in the shoulders, the neck. So that's something you could try. Or if you're somebody who continues to work quite late into the evening, maybe at that point you switch over and you're wearing blue light blockers, just so that you're starting to wind down, you're allowing your body to release that melatonin so that you can prepare yourself for sleep. You know, you're not so wired, you're not so awake, and you can start that process even if you're still having to work a little bit later. So as you can see, there are loads of things that you can do to help yourself to wind down in the evening. Some more things that come to mind is just having things like mood lighting. I like to do this where I almost do like a turn down service for myself, you know, like you get in hotels, where I will just walk through and I do turn my bed down, but I will also just switch the lighting. So I will have mood lighting, and that just helps again to calm me down. Maybe you have supplements that you take at night, or you make yourself some nice tea, maybe chamomile or something. That's really good for helping you to relax and to sleep. Again, this is very personal, so try some things out, see what works for you, but just understand that a night routine is very important just because it really impacts the amount and the quality of sleep that you get. And as we know, sleep is very important, and particularly if you are trying to achieve a lot in your day, you really need to have a lot of rest the night before, just so you can support yourself and get the most out of yourself the next day. So it's really important just to have that kind of cutoff point where you start to wind down. You know, maybe you turn your phone off or on do not disturb for the last hour. You're not looking at screens, you're not constantly checking notifications, you're not responding to emails, you're not talking to anyone, but you're just having time for yourself, you're just winding down. Maybe you have a practice that you journal and you reflect and you write down your thoughts, let go of anything that has happened throughout the day, analyze how you are feeling, think about how you could show up tomorrow in a different or better way. And it's just good to have these moments of quiet, these moments of calm, just to reset yourself, ready for the next day. We are often so go, go, go in this society, and I really don't think it's healthy. It's very good just to have these moments to reset yourself so that you can show up as the best version of yourself the next day. Something else that you can do is reading in the evening, particularly if you struggle with falling asleep. I have started doing this recently, and actually it's been working a little bit too well. I think I may have to swap this out because I'm finding that I'm falling asleep a lot sooner and I'm not actually retaining much because it's making me so sleepy. But if you're somebody who struggles to fall asleep, maybe this could be good. This could help to just slow you down and help you to relax and get into that sleepy state. You could also couple this with some white noise in the background or anything, like I say, that helps you just to quiet your mind and get you into that relaxed state. great. So some caveats. I know that all of this sounds very idealistic and it sounds great, but it might not actually work with your lifestyle. So maybe you have a family and so you're not able to completely disconnect in the evening and have this elaborate night routine. So maybe you can have a night routine as a family, you know, maybe you have kids, or maybe your schedule isn't the same every day, or you're not in the same place all the time. So maybe you're not able to have such a strict routine. So maybe it's a case of you do these things once or twice a week when you do have that stability. Another thing is, of course, if you're working shifts or go to work at night and so you don't really want to be winding down. This is something that was the case for me. So I went through a period where I would often work shifts, and so my day would start at 11 p.m. like that's when I needed to start work. And so my night routine looked very different. My night routine was actually doing things to wake me up, doing things to motivate me, energize me, and in turn my morning routine that I would start at maybe 9 a.m. was to wind down so that I could go to sleep. So none of this is prescriptive, none of this is set in stone or rigid. It's really just giving you some tips and some tools of things that you can do based on your needs, based on your lifestyle, and based on your preferences. So it's really up to you just to find what works for you. But the key, I think, is just to have some sort of practice that works so that you can optimize yourself, your energy levels, and get the most out of your days. So something else to mention as part of your night routine is sleep hygiene. So whether you struggle to sleep or not, whether you have insomnia or things like that, maintaining good sleep hygiene is always good. It's not just about the number of hours that we get, but also the quality of our sleep, right? So what are some things that we can do to improve our sleep hygiene? So I've talked already about things like blue light blockers, supplements, but maybe it's as simple as getting blackout curtains so that there isn't any light coming in, and you can really ensure that when you're asleep you get into that deep sleep so that you can really get the most out of it. Something that I heard about recently that I've started doing is turning my Wi-Fi off at night, just so I'm not so literally wired all of the time. That apparently really helps with the quality of your sleep. So I haven't been doing that for very long, so I will report back on how I find that once I have a bit more data. So other things that you can consider with sleep hygiene and to help you really optimize the quality of your sleep is lowering the temperature of the room that you're sleeping in. That also helps you to get good quality sleep. Also having weighted blankets, the quality of your bedding. There are loads of things that you can test out and find what really works for you. These are additions to your night routine, but if we're talking as a whole and talking about the amount of sleep and the quality of the sleep that we can get, then these are things that we want to think about as well. Okay, so that's all I have for you today on night routine. Like I said, I will be talking about morning routines next week, so make sure you check that video out. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed, please go ahead and do so now. Also, if you took anything away from this video, give this video a like. The more likes we get, the more YouTube will show this video to other people and the more we can grow this community. So I would really appreciate that, and thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.